the West Coast Eagles Football Club. That's all. Thank you.
Talk about rage bait.
Straight off the bat, I'm
Just-
so sorry. I know you were close, West Coast. I am, but I'm sorry.
Jesus. Goodness me. I'll tell you what. I'll give you another part of that joke. We've seen a lot of birds flipped at the G. I've never seen 23 of them flip like that. Smash the glass.
Here at the glass table, we're just like you.
I like to play football, I like to watch football, and I like to talk about football.
Yay! I like to play football, and I like to watch football, and I like to talk about football.
But we do things a little bit differently around here.
Life could be a dream, Jared.
Stupid sexy.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Glass Table, episode 81, which is the same number that Richmond scored against the Eagles to win.
I didn't even mean to do that as part of the joke, but how about it?
Yeah, there's a three-parter.
Fantastic.
But yeah, no, welcome, Jared. You're back.
I am. We're
From-
both back.
Last week.
We're both back. We're both back. We didn't go very far. We're both back. Very excited to be here. Very keen to be here with you and to be recording again after what has been an actual, not just a good week of football, fantastic week of football. And it's very great to be here. How are you doing?
Well, considering that all matters, we lost the showdown, so pretty bad.
We also lost, so not great.
Yeah, we're both losers this week, which is not fun. But I think what makes up for it is the feeling of having what may have been the greatest round of footy ever. And it's not the fact that the average margin was 10 points. It's not the fact that game after game after game, we all felt like our heart rate was on a beating drum. It was the fact that we ridiculed footy for so long the last couple of weeks that every time we seem to just give flowers to something, it bounces back and smacks us in the face. And when we ridicule something, they actually turn out pretty good. So, football still sucks.
Football still sucks and will suck forever. You're absolutely right. We do tend to, when we shit on a team or whatever, they bounce back, except for one team, and I already mentioned their name, but we tend to shit on things and they get a little bit better, which is fantastic. It's just very nice. Like you said, we lost, unfortunately, but had a good week, had a great week. And yeah, like you said, not just close margins, actual good games of football. Even West Coast Richmond was actually a good game of football. I enjoyed it for the half that I watched, but I had fun, and yeah, everything was fun this week.
Let me run through round 9 for you. Before I do the teams and the results, I just want to give you the margins.
Yep.
14, 15, 35, 8, 10, 5, 2, 4, 0. And no, I'm not talking about what the Powerball numbers were. They were actual margin results of the games this weekend. 14 points for the Pies, who actually played with 14 people and still bet Freo. Spud's game was really special, and the Blues took that one there. Hawthorn defeated Melbourne in a game that I don't think anyone's going to remember from this round. I haven't actually seen a single highlight other than that free kick that we'll talk about
one
probably.
thing that I know people are going to remember.
And Essendon bet the Swans, and I want to talk about Essendon a bit later because I think they're very funny. And I said last week that there's just a funny feeling about this game. I didn't tip them, and I was going to, and they threw it in my face with a win. Well played. The Darwin Sons bet the Dogs. Showdown gave one of the greats, and unfortunately the Crows took that one. Richmond Eagles started off the Super Sunday with a classic at the G in front of 30,000 people. I don't know where the 30,000 were, but they were there. And I witnessed one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And then we went down to the Cattery, which is actually now just the Giant. because the Giants just win there. And then obviously North played the Lions at Ninja Stadium in Darwin. Not in Darwin, sorry, in Hobart. In a game that we all wrote off from the start.
I said last week, this was my version of the Essendon Sydney one. I said something weird might happen because it's at Ninja Stadium, and something weird certainly did happen. I want to make sure that I did say that because it was fantastic.
Can I just say as well, this was the first AFL game since the rebrand of Ninja Stadium.
What
a classic it is. Do you remember the time that Ninja Stadium their name was changed to Ninja Stadium?
And the first game there was a fucking belting draw.
I can't believe that. That is hilarious. So that was round 9. And some would say one of the best rounds we've ever seen. And some would say just the stupid sexiest round I've ever seen.
Stupid sexy AFL player.
Yeah, and you know what? For once, I'm going to kick this off because just in case.
Yeah, go for it.
Just in case we get the same.
You go first as well.
I know, I normally finish second, so it's fine. It fits in with the segment. Oh, I did it again. Anyway, my Stupid Sexy this week, going to cut straight to the point because someone messaged me saying, your Super Sexy is great, but you just talk too long. And funny enough, it was my own personal account, which was weird. But anyway, my Stupid Sexy this week, we've had countless amounts of great games over the weekend. It's one moment that defined it all, from my opinion. And if I ever see Tom Brown running on a football field, I will make sure that I am not in his way. Tom Brown's chase. I already loved his field kicking. I already have been on him and his stocks for a while, but his stocks will continue to rise. Someone said in one of our comments that he's going to be a top 20 player in the AFL, and I agree with that because if you can add defensive pressure in the chase down tackles and showcase, that was a match-winning tackle. Like, we have match-winning marks, we have match-winning goals, points, whatever. This was a match-winning tackle, and I couldn't believe it. The reaction I had was like, holy shit, that's amazing. And, we talk about how bad tackling has been in terms of, sling tackles and injuries coming from tackles, concussions and everything. Purest form of a tackle is the chase down tackle. 100%. And boy, was it good.
I was about to say, right before we started this, I just saw a notification that like Fox Footy or something must be doing one of their shows, and it was like, this is the textbook definition of how to lay a tackle by Tom Brown, and it was unbelievable. And the best thing about this tackle, you could see it coming from a mile away.
Yeah,
Ross picked the footy up, right, and he takes a bounce as soon as he goes, and I'm like, oh, he's gone, because like 3 seconds beforehand he got caught on the wing, same thing, went a little bit too far, got caught on the ball. I love this tackle, right? Fantastic. However, Tom Gross, yeah, that's a horrible, horrible mistake late in the game. Horrible mistake late in the game. And he got punished for it badly. And okay, admittedly, he'll never do it again. He'll probably never take a bounce again, to be honest. That's probably him done. He's probably never going to take another bounce in AFL football because he got hunted. And it was fantastic. And just everything about it. Seeing all the Tigers players, none of the Tigers players went to Tom Gross and like pushed him to the ground, nothing like that. Every single one of them went to Tom Brown and said, fuck yeah. Said that was amazing. And lifted him up. And like you said, game-saving tackle. Unbelievable.
I just want to pinpoint as well, Richmond have now won 3 games and a game and a half ahead of North, right? But yes, I know, that's why I said it. I'm going to keep hammering that point. But if you want to define the 3 games that they've won and the couple of games they've actually been in throughout the time, that's a part of their DNA. They've been hunting, they've been pressuring, they've been ferocious. They still have that Tiger DNA they've had since their premiership years, and it's still lingering. This the culture thing. Adam Uze and his crew, phenomenal. Richmond, Tom Brown. It's only Tom Brown I'll enjoy.
I was going to say, I saw a lot of old photos of Tom Brown rolling around after that tackle, which was fantastic. But you're right. The Tiger DNA is still there. I think it has something to do as well with the veterans that are still kicking around for the Tigers. You got Vlosten, you got McIntosh, Broad. You got guys that defined Richmond in those years where it was like, weren't big names at all, Voston and
Nankervis.
Yeah, and Nankervis weren't big names, weren't your Dusties, weren't your Koches, weren't your Rewalts, but they got the job done week in, week out. And they have brought all the young boys, and they are fucking killing it. And I love it. It's amazing.
Fantastic stuff, Tom Brown. You are stupid sexy in your play, and well, if you grow up a few more, you might enjoy other things about stupid sexy. But what was yours, my friend?
Mine this week, I tell you what, we're having a bit of defensive action this week, and mine comes from the last game of the round. And I was obviously watching the Giants Cats game for the first part of this game, and I got to catch sort of the back end as I was rolling through, and then into the pub for Mother's Day dinner and everything like that. However, what I did catch is a performance by a man known as Charlie Comben. Right.
Oh,
and let me tell you, North Melbourne would not have been anywhere near that game if it wasn't for Charlie Comben's antics. Every time the ball was in a 15-meter range of him, he was marking it. Nobody else was going to mark it. Every time Brisbane dump kicked it, I went, Comben's marking this. Sure enough, there he was again. And it felt like it happened 15 times in a row. It felt like every time Brisbane got it to like 70 meters out from goal, there was Charlie Comben. 60 meters out from goal, there was Charlie Comben. It was fucking ridiculous. I saw an interview with him after the game, and it was just unbelievable. And he just put on a hell of a performance. And, it was for great reasons. It was for his mum as well, which, these tragic stories that he has. He played an unbelievable game of football, and he is a great key defender for North, who have been crying out for one for a long time. He's fantastic. So Charlie Comben, well played, son, because you were literally everywhere.
He was. I did watch the last 2 minutes, and I was thinking, are we just talking about Charlie for the sake of it here, or what's going on? But yeah, he was phenomenal. He's been a shining light. I didn't like when they put him up forward for stages last year. I was like, he's a defender. He's your key. One of your keys. Can be one of those intercept marking kings.
Oh,
we've seen, and he did it, and he's phenomenal. So. And those two highlighted some of the craziness that happened over round 9, which, we don't have to dive all the way into it because I think it'll be talked about for quite a long time. But the one team that I want to talk about, and I didn't like how Kane put it as the next Hawthorn with their build, because I think
I love that.
In the same position. Because if they were like Hawthorn, they would have been the Hawthorn that are Hawthorn. They would have turned around about 16 years ago.
Yeah.
The Essendon Bombers, now, they keep getting roughed up by first gamers getting injuries.
Yeah.
But they have found a Zach Reed. I think Jackson Pryor has been elite. I think even they've never given him a go until injuries came, but Will Satterfield's having a massive impact.
Having a go.
Yeah. The players that they need and respond, like Mason Redmonds, Xavier Dersmans, these types of players that needed to stand up. Nate Caddy's kicked 3 goals in the weekend. Once again, they almost lost it. They're finding ways. Essendon are the type to find ways to lose, yet they don't know how to lose anymore, so they keep winning.
Yeah, they're doing almost picture perfect to what they did last year. And you look at where they are in the fixture this year compared to last year, and it's almost the exact same in that they are somehow in finals contention, yet their percentage is so low because when they lose, they get smashed. But when they win, they just scrape by every single time. So their percentage is looking shocking again. And they're just the most confusing football team in the world. And I still have no faith in them because this happened last year and people were calling them top 4. And then they fell off a cliff again. So I'm going to wait until round 21 before I make any decisions on the Essendon Bombers because I just have no idea what they're like.
Next month is very interesting. They have the Dogs next week. They have Richmond in the dream time. They have the Lions, and then they have Carlton before I think they have the bye. So their next month is crazy. If they can nail 2 of those,
I was going to say if they come out of that 2-2, that's pretty good. That's pretty solid.
That will put them, 7-5 going into halfway point, which is
not bad. They've been in better spots and lost from better. But it's not bad, no.
Yeah, but they're very, very interesting. Sydney, on the other hand, aren't going to do anything this year.
Yeah, I think that might be it, eh? I understand they've got a lot of injuries, and that's fair enough. Gordon's obviously a big piece of their puzzle, and I know they got a lot of injuries to a lot of key position players and stuff, but they also still have a lot of really good footballers out there. And I feel like we are very justified at the start of this year, before the season started, we did our top 10 players in the AFL, and Isaac Heaney was nowhere to be seen. And people got a little bit upset about that over time. He's done fuck all this year.
We also put Errol Gordon in there. Now we sent him to the Chamber of Secrets.
That one's different. That was a little bit different. That one's different because he got severely injured. But I'm just saying, like,
That's what I mean.
yeah, Heaney's an interesting one in that, he had a really great year and he's put all this expectation on himself. And Chad Warner's still playing pretty good footy, but it can't be a one-man show down at the Sydney Swans. And yeah, I don't know how they're doing, to be honest.
Do you want to just move on from Sydney for a second because it's very funny? Do you want to look at our top 10?
I know Kerno's pretty high.
So this was our top 10 ratings for GT this year for the top 10 players, what would be at the end of this year.
Yeah.
So we predicted that it would be Nick Dacos, Marcus Bontempelli, Errol Gordon, Jason Horne-Francis, Patrick Cripps, Charlie Kerno, Caleb Sarong, Zach Butters, Rowan Marshall, Sam Taylor. At this current point in time,
I don't hate it.
I don't think it's that bad because Dacos has been what he has been.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good.
Bond's come back and he's as good as he was. Yep.
Slapped us straight in the face with his pelly.
Yep.
Errol hasn't been seen yet, but could do the same. Horne-Francis, we've seen glimpses, but I don't think we've
Probably
seen.
Not there. Yep.
It coincides with Port, really. When
Yep.
they're on, he's on. When they're not on, he's on. No one else is doing anything, so it doesn't get noticed. Patrick Cripps has had a pretty lean year, I would suggest.
He's been okay, but probably not the fifth best player in the comp.
Charlie Kerno tries so hard to kick a bag, and yet
showed signs on the weekend. At early days on the weekend, I was like, man, he's about to kick 10. He's about to kick 10.
Never have I wanted live betting to be a thing more when Charlie Kerno's kicked 3 early in the second, and I'm like, oh boy, what's 8+ paying?
Could be on for many.
Caleb Sarong, again, like Horne-Francis with Freo.
Still been very good, Sarong. Yeah, when
been
they're
very
on
good.
Yeah.
Butters has arguably been the best of the lot since coming back. I would suggest. And Rowan Marshall has had games here and there, similar to like the Saints.
Yep, when we're on, he's on.
Want a bit more Roro from the old Supercoach perspective. At number 10, Sam Taylor.
Yeah,
it's been pretty good.
It's been as good as ever. Old Sam Taylor.
Anyone you'd add now that you look at this year?
You put Jordan Dawson in there.
Yeah, I was going to say Jordan Dawson. Jordan Dawson's having a year where if the Crows make the finals, which at this current point in time they should, there generally could be a chance that he is in the top 3 of the Brownlow medal.
I was going to say he probably could be leading the Brownlow right now.
Because there's no one else taking votes from him.
Yeah, as of this point, he's right up there in that Brownlow race. Because like you said, no one else is really going to get that many votes from the Crows. Key forwards we know never really get votes, and if they do, it's 2 or 1, so it leaves the gap open for Dawson. I'd say he probably goes in there. Somehow, still side bottom is probably in there, and there's just some little random ones here and there, but.
Connor Rosie would be another one that, even though Port have lost.
Just flipping Rosie and Horne-Francis. That's probably one that I would be like, that's fair enough.
Half back roll.
Yeah.
It's been pretty handy. If I look at the coaches' votes, Connor Rosie is leading them.
Yep.
With 40. Tristan Cherry's been very, very good. Jordan Dawson's up there. Bally Smith is obviously a contender. We talked about this last week, who's winning the Brownlow, but I think, Jordan Dawson probably goes into the top 10. I'd say Connor Rosie slips in. Everyone else is just knocking on the door, I'd say. Yeah,
it's wide open. Wide open on all accounts.
I don't really like reviewing our stuff, but it's actually one. It's a good talking point. So
it's not bad.
Not bad. Bad. But, it is what it is. Connor Rosie. That showdown was elite.
It was a fantastic showdown. We said this after the game. While it was a very heartbreaking loss for you, it was one of the classics. And it just kept on giving. Like every time you thought the game was going to get away from either side, they just would come back and fight back and do exactly what you wouldn't expect, or they'd do something that'd just prove that you literally have to keep going all the way to the final siren in any AFL game, because teams will punish you if you're not switched on completely. And a lot of players on an A game, like a lot of players playing good footy. Finlayson played a really good game, I thought, which was like good to see. I know he missed a few, but he also was like pretty damaging up forward, and just players everywhere. Riley Thilthorpe was taking the literal piss. He was just marking everything. Any ball that came his way, Riley Thilthorpe was getting on the end of, which was just bizarre. And Rochelle and Rankin came to life late. Just Connor, Rosie, Butters doing their normal thing. It was just everything you wanted from a Showdown was on, and it was fantastic.
Can I mention one player's name that I think we all talk about, the Butters and the Tom de Konings and everything with the contract situations that are happening? If clubs aren't asking the question to his management right now, I think you're actually ridiculous. Miles Bergman needs to be on the radar of generally everyone. He is your perfect type of defensive player that can also run through the midfield. And because he's got that defensive mindset as well, he's able to tag. He tagged Jordan Dawson out of the game. And I think whilst the Crows won, it was heavily favoured in Port's midfield. And if Port converted, going inside 50, it could have been a very, very different result. So Miles Bergman deserves some kudos. I'm glad he got some coaches' votes, because I generally think, and I know St Kilda have been inquiring. I know a couple of other clubs in Melbourne. I think
a lot of Melbourne teams are looking after
Melbourne. Yeah, because he's obviously from the Victoria, but I think even Sydney's been around the mark as well. If you're not sitting here right now and at least sending a cheeky text to the management.
Yeah.
Hello, Miles. You want to travel some miles and come play for us?
It'd definitely, no, you're 100% right. I think it's almost certainly a certainty that people are asking the question of him. And, I think because of the whole Butters thing, he's kind of, flown under the radar of like, oh, Port, that's another free agent as well that Port, could be sort of getting. So it's like, he's flying about it and playing really good footy. He got a lot of love in the commentary on the weekend. Obviously, you were at the game and I was watching at home, but the commentary were giving him a lot of love. They were like, man, how good is Miles Bergman out here? Might have been confusing him with horne-francis again, but he was also very good at footy. So,
do you know what's funny is I was sitting there, and this is where the confusing part happens, because, and you tweeted it perfectly with the white chick situation. Very funny. I was literally sitting there, and halfway through the second quarter, horne-francis was only on one disposal. And by then I knew Miles Bergman was playing in the midfield. So I was sitting there going, are they just giving all the disposals to Miles?
Everything's going to Miles now.
Do they realise what the difference they are,
Yeah. It was fantastic.
No, but if he plays more midfield, his stocks are going to rise. But I think he'll stay, if that's my honest gut feeling. I don't think Port are losing anyone this year. And I think they're going to make a very, very big statement on that, even though we half suck.
I think a new coach coming in helps bring people. I think it helps sort of keep people around, because it's like a fresh perspective kind of thing, which is anything.
Well, if Miles Bergman's playing midfield, I know that's something he's predominantly wanted to look into.
And with Rosie now moving that back line and probably going to stay there now with how he's been playing.
And then if you need a third tool, you've got Brandon Zerktatcher to come in.
Yep.
Bloody Port. Spud's game. You're obviously there.
It's fantastic.
I think this game in particular, we talk about the ride and everything, and I know from first-hand experience with you, like, how amazing it was, but I generally believe this game should be more than just one thing. I think St Kilda can be the staple point of it.
Yeah.
Can kick off the round, or it becomes a thing where it's obviously St Kilda's, staple, but this needs to be a full round.
I think, I don't know if it should be a full round kind of thing. I think it should be entering towards that level of Big Freeze territory. And I know that's what they're trying to sort of do, is make it more than just a game in itself. It's trying to be a thing that means more than it all. And, you look at the Big Freeze, and it's obviously Melbourne, Collingwood, but it's not just Melbourne and Collingwood people that buy the beanies and do things like that. It's everybody buys a beanie. Everybody does this kind of stuff. And I think that's what Spud's game should eventually be, or is tracking towards at the very least, because you see it on the weekend, and like, this is insight into Saints stuff here, but like all the pre-game work that got put in from the video beforehand that went on the broadcast, went around the stadium, to Tom Boyd's message, everything like that hits home so heavily for so many people. And the video that we posted, the video that went out on broadcast and everything like that, record number of views and everything like that. And it is hitting this point now where it's becoming bigger than anything. And I saw everywhere, all over social media, all over the weekend, of just how fucking good was the pregame kind of thing. And that is what I'm hoping now leads into what should be, an in every year thing. And if it's not a full round thing, and I understand it not being a full round thing, it's hard to sort of spread everything across a bunch, 9 games, but turning it into what a big freeze kind of thing is, where everybody buys a beanie, everybody donates and things like that. It becomes a big, selling point for a year. People talk about how this is a cool thing. Absolutely the same thing. And, the Saints have rotated opponents over the years. I think that's a great idea. Keeping opponents rotating and fresh and letting a bunch of people, a bunch of teams get involved in it, I think it's fantastic. And like you said, it was an amazing experience. And everything about the day before, everything about the day of, 65,000 people all standing in silence, listening to an unbelievable speech by Tom Boyd before what ended up being a pretty good game of footy. Obviously not a good result for St Kilda, but a good game of footy with, swings and momentum and another close one, like we said. Everything just culminates, and it's turning into a very, very special day on the calendar, I think.
Definitely like the fact that it was at the G. I think the Saints getting that opportunity to play it there, regardless of if you get 55 or 75, I think it felt like a big game because it was at the G. If that was at Marvel, like it has been previously and stuff like that, it's I don't think the energy or the occasion of it is as sincere. So unfortunate for the result, but it was leaked. I loved it. I think it's great. And yeah, you're right. Probably right. You probably swayed me there. I think it becoming more of a big freeze kind of thing, because we all buy the beanies. We all buy.
That's what I'm saying. Not just Melbourne and Collingwood fans buy beanies. I got a fucking million big freeze beanies in my. I can see 3 of them right now.
I've got all of them.
Like I can see 3 just sitting there right now. So it's like one of those things where we do it as scarves. There's been Spud scarves and stuff like that, and those kinds of things that I think would sell well and people would buy them, and donations would keep coming. And I think, like a big freeze style thing where it doesn't have to be the whole round, but it gets not just advertised by St Kilda and the team we're playing, but also the whole AFL and everything like that, like big freeze does, like the broadcasters do. I think it'd be great.
I set you up perfectly there, because I think because of the G factor, we are so on TikTok this week. The question, we tried a few different things. We got a few good answers, and around the glass table we went on TikTok, and it was a very interesting question. Jared?
Yes, we asked this week, what your favourite moment at the MCG is. Obviously the home of footy, as we talk about. And I said in the TikTok, I said, let's leave it as not grand finals, because you could just fill the whole thing with grand finals. Like you could be like, it's Dom Sheed's kick, it's fucking, it's Leo Barry's mark. You can pretty much line up the whole thing. So I left it as outside of grand finals. We've still got a lot of finals, but firstly, talk about yours. What is your favourite MCG moment?
Well, someone took the Houston game from me, so I wanted to be different, and I think it actually hits home a little bit more, because the memory I have is Jay Schultz kicking the goal with 4 minutes to go, put us 4 goals up against Collingwood in the elimination final in 2013. Now, that result as a win in itself was fantastic, but that memory, it's pretty special, because one, it's funny, you watch that goal kicked and you watch the floodgates open for Pies fans leaving the ground, but it also signifies our first finals win since the prelim in 2007, where we pumped North. It also signifies the new era of Ken Hinkley and everything like that. Chad Wingard and his young prime, Ollie Wine's first year, and everything was all in that. So it was pretty special. And that happening at the G. Stuff you Collingwood.
Very, very good. That is a classic one. I like that. That's one that you kind of don't think of. Like I wouldn't immediately be like, I wouldn't remember that and be like, oh, there you go. That's a cool thing. One for me that I found, and I was trying to sort of keep it as just what's a really niche one that might not be as well sort of thought about. Mine for me was I was at the GWS Collingwood prelim final in 2019, and it was pissing wet. It was ridiculously raining. However, I was sitting right next to the Giants cheer squad, And the Giants win a classic. It was Sam Taylor's breakout game. Shane Mumford fucking sold the candy to Scott Pendlebury right in front of me in the pocket, right in front of me. It was unbelievable.
Right in front of me.
Right in front of me. And it was one of those ones where no one really expected the Giants to, like, they were very good, but it was like, it's at the G, it's wet, you know, a lot of Collingwood fans there. But I was there for some reason. I don't even remember why I went, but I was just like, this is cool.
I live in Melbourne. I can go.
Yeah. But the Giants win, and it becomes an empty stadium very, very quickly. All of a sudden, all the Pies fans leave. But like, they were there till the end, but everyone goes out really quick. Every Giants player and player that wasn't playing all runs to the goal that I'm at, kind of thing. And it's like in soccer when the team runs to the away end and gives them all kinds of stuff. That was what it felt like. And it was just so good because just neutrals and Giants fans are all sitting there losing their minds. It is pissing rain. The Giants players are on the field like doing fucking this one and everything. And I just remember it being like, looking at the other side of the ground and it's empty. There is not a single person in the seats for 3/4 of this stadium, yet everyone is packed into this tiny little corner, just like going a bit of this one to the Giants players. For some reason, to me, that was just really entertaining.
I like that. I think that's very, very niche. I'll give you a niche one before you get into the people. 2015, flew out of Melbourne, middle of July. You might be thinking, oh, which game did you attend? Real Madrid versus Manchester City.
Ah, yes. Lovely.
Yeah. To see Cristiano Ronaldo versus Aguero.
Sick.
Yeah. Me and a mate went over. It's the first time I went to Melbourne and like since I was a kid. So
and you're watching soccer. There you go.
Yeah. Just it's an interesting
Doesn't have
memory.
to be footy. It doesn't have to be footy, everybody.
Oh, I found your fucking loophole.
But no, we had a couple of good ones. We spoke about some more recent ones here. So we've got a Richmond versus Carlton round 1 this year. I'm going to assume they just said round 1, but that's a classic because if you're a Tigers fan at that game, you're never going to forget it ever. We've spoken about that before. Like you said before, Dan Houston goal after the siren, similar to the GWS Collingwood one, pissing wet, 55 out.
Just I can't believe he did it with a wet ball, 55. Like it's just like what a huge moment, and the prick decided to leave.
Yeah, and then he left afterwards. And that's one of those
Love you,
ones you know exactly where you were. You know exactly where you were that day, and it was fantastic. So
he now goes into the same league as Jared Poulton against Sydney because
he's gone.
He's gone.
Spot on. We have Blake Acres' goal versus the D's in 2023. That's a good goal.
Yes.
And that's one of the loudest crowds I have ever heard live in my entire life. And where I was sitting, I didn't actually see the goal go in, but I heard the fucking roar. And I was like, okay, I'm assuming he's kicked it. And that was incredible. And then the last one here in the comments, which is just so fair enough. And all it is the commentary. It's just Zaharakis. Zaharakis. Which is a fucking classic.
The Triple M commentary is always better. It's pissing down at the G.
It's absolutely pissing down the G.
Your JB in the background.
A lot of these comments are wet footy. Yeah, like we've spoken about a lot of wet weather footy at the G.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you wet weather footies, I think it was a close game and it's a good wet weather game. It's always you just never know.
No,
the great equalizer.
Exactly. There's G moments, everywhere, and I love the theater of the MCG. Even if it's dead, even if there's only like 20,000 people in there, when something happens, it's like this is cool, Like I like to see it, and it's just very entertaining. And yeah, the MCG is great. Home of footy.
Can't wait to come over in a couple of weeks when we go to the Big Freeze, and then also attend Richmond, Sydney.
Woo!
You want to talk about 20,000?
Might be a good game now.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm purely coming to watch Tom Brown.
Might be, yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's the Tom Brown show. Don't worry about that.
So we talk about the G and how special it is and the fortress it's become. I want to talk about the weirdest fortresses. Well, I think what coincides perfectly here is the Suns in Darwin right now. They absolutely they don't lose up there.
Yep.
They don't lose. The Giants in Geelong. It's weird. They've won the last 5 there, which is
when
strange.
I saw that when I saw that pre-game, I was like, that has to be wrong, but it's not. That's one of the weirdest winning streaks at a venue I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, this is my thing. Like, Suns and Darwin haven't lost playing up there. They're playing like 7 or 8 in a row now.
Yep.
The Giants haven't lost in Geelong for like the last 5.
Yep.
Before last year, Port had won the last 8 at Marvel.
Yeah, and
Like, it's
also
just
Port, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
So I don't know what the weirdest fortress is. That's. I just.
Port. At the SCG, have you had 2 in a row, or is?
No. We lost the prelim.
Oh yes, the prelim. I forget about the prelim, but I was going to say
everyone does.
the other ones at the SCG have been weird because there was obviously the Aaliyah punch off the line, which was iconic, just incredible.
Yeah, and then obviously this year's, which was just a weird game.
Yeah, so strange.
Yeah, a lot of weird fortresses.
The Cats one is the weirdest. The Giants at GMHBA is so strange.
See, now I disagree. I think the Suns and Darwin not losing up there.
That's fair, but also like I kind of get like they get used to playing in the heat, and that's what kind of gets teams a lot of the time is that it's really really hot, and like I understand kind of that side of things. It is strange though that they play some pretty good teams up there, and they like the Cats. The one that comes to mind is the Cats one from 2 years ago, maybe.
Oh yeah, 160 to 100.
160 to 100. Yeah, what a fucking strange game of football that was.
That was last year.
Yeah, and it's those ones where it's like they shouldn't be winning those games, but they do anyway. And I'm like,
it's a great game to watch.
Yeah, just very very bizarre areas, I think, and yeah, one that they should be pretty impressed by.
I'm gonna have a look and see I want to see if I can find what the secret, the biggest margin. Sorry, hang on. I'm stroking here. Biggest winning streaks at stadiums.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm pretty sure I saw it on. Oh no, I saw the GMHBA exclusive one today or yesterday, where it was. Yeah,
here we go. So longest active winning streaks. It's Collingwood at the Adelaide Oval with 10. The Western Bulldogs have won the last 8 at Marvel, which is the Gold Coast winning at Darwin, Marara Stadium. Hawthorn in Launceston, which is no surprise. Sydney at Perth is interesting, and then obviously now they've had the last 5. They've won in Perth, and then now the Giants will be up there as well.
That is strange. Niche stats that pretty good. The Collingwood at Adelaide Oval one surprises me, but also, it surprises me in the fact that a lot of the results that they've had there have been very close wins. Like they don't often blow a team out in Adelaide. It's very like I remember the 2 Adelaide games they had back-to-back years, last year and the year before, were like real close, and like it was the Rankin running too far and that kind of stuff, and they just managed to scrape by.
Wasn't that that was at the G, wasn't it?
Was that the right? Well, they had a close one at Adelaide anyway. I remember it was a Sunday 4:40, and it was
it was wet.
Yeah, it was wet, and someone got a blood.
Sidebottom kicked the goal.
and
Sidebottom kicked the winning point.
Yes,
from a set shot.
So that's a weird one as well. That's a really Sydney and Perth also kind of makes it. Any winning streak in Perth, I feel like should have an asterisk next to it because it's teams that are playing West Coast at least once a year. So it's like they should. And however, my team plays West Coast in Perth this week, and I tell you what's going to happen. Oh boy.
We'll get to that situation in a second, but yes, no weird streaks. That speaking of Collingwood, I guess before we get into the tips and everything like that, be hard to beat. They're going to be hard to beat.
I think I said it a couple weeks ago. They look severely 2023 right now, and it's giving me serious worries about how good they are. Because
half a side.
Yeah, they went out there with without 4 of their most influential players, and they just fucked pissed. To be honest, I'm really worried. I'm really worried about how good they are.
Yeah, they're not going to really trip over, are they?
And like their fixture for the rest of the year is pretty good. They don't have.
I think I only leave Melbourne twice.
Yeah, they don't have a bad fixture at all, and it's kind of scary because they got pretty healthy players. They haven't got a lot of injuries that are going to hurt them. They're resting
they have injuries, but like they're just
the fact they're resting players like this early in the year. I feel like they know. I think they're like we're going to be there, and that's terrifying.
It scares the living shit out of me, Jared. You know what the problem is? Do you know, I hate it too. The problem is the fan, right? Right now, you sit here and go, right, how can my team get better? How can my team get good? You know, if you're a team like Carlton, you're like, all right, we're building, but we also know we have some deficiencies. A team like Essendon that are scraping across the line, they're 5-3 with a 90 percentage. You know, we're sitting here, St Kilda, like, oh, they're gonna be good, are they, or are they not? You know, what do we know? Freo, what are you doing? Like 1 week you turn up and 1 week you're not. Same as Port Adelaide, you just don't know what you're gonna get anymore. Right, you're sitting there as the Western Bulldogs going, right, we're pretty good form, but we don't know what we're doing yet. I don't think we miss Sam Darcy a little bit, but we're still okay. The Cats, well, we're big game players, but we also don't know how to beat the Giants at home. And all of this, right, you're thinking as a fan going, right, what can we do? West Coast suck, so you really lose interest straight away. And finally, after all of that thinking and all the process of how can we get better for the next week, you just have a little voice in the back of your head going, I don't think we're going to beat Collingwood this year. Somehow Brisbane play the worst game ever, but still draw. I think we look forward to 2026.
Yeah, I think you can pretty much wrap it up now. I think if you're not going to win a flag this year, I think just be like, you know what, I'm okay. There's probably 5 teams maybe that I'd be like, yeah, keep going. Keep fighting. I think everyone else just goes, you know what, I don't care anymore. I'm done.
The Crows win the flag this year. I'll dye my hair blonde.
I'm writing it down. Dyeing hair blonde.
Yeah.
Crows win flag. It's in there.
I hate that to say it, man.
However, speaking of the Adelaide Crows, we may not like them, but they have produced a banging Sir Doug Nicholls round jumper. It is it's a banger. And also their logo right now, the new logo that they're rolling out. Yeah, they're cooking. They're cooking on the field, they're cooking off the field. They're doing all they need to.
They just know, don't they?
Yeah.
They just know.
They are doing enough right now, Adelaide. And yeah, their new logo looks amazing. Jumper looks fucking, yeah. I love their away one. I love the red one. I think it's amazing. I'm a big fan.
As we are recording, St Kilda and Port Adelaide have a release theirs, and I've just seen the Saints, which, yeah, look.
Good. It's pretty good.
I like it. Port Adelaide's not too bad either. I don't mind that as well.
Yeah.
So, well, next week we'll do a full ranking of our top 3 of the best. But yeah, you're not wrong. Adelaide are producing an absolute banger, and so Doug Nicholls round's obviously always going to be a pretty special part. And I just want people this week to think, you know, of all the controversy, of all the racism and everything that happens off the field and all the shit scenarios and everything, this week, celebrate your club's players that you've had good over the years. You know, I've got, in Port Adelaide's point of view, I've got a Burgoyne playing this weekend. His uncle and his dad, a couple of Port Adelaide greats. You know, you've got the iconic Nicky Winmar photo.
Yep.
You know, you got Naz playing this weekend.
I was about to say, we have the man with arguably one of the most famous Aboriginal names of all time in Nazaya Wanganeen Miller.
How selfish is Naz?
I was about to say, not many people
he?
can do that. Can just be like, I am Wanganeen Miller. Like, that is, when he got drafted, you just see his name and you're like, God, that guy's going to be good.
There's so much talent just oozing, right? You're going to have so much money coming out of his pocket. And not only that, he's going to be able to fund 2 names. Wanganeen and Malira.
And he designed the jumper.
What can he do? What can't he do?
What can't he do? But yeah, you're right. Like, you know, you just think about the incredible Indigenous players that have played for your team over the next 2 weeks. The Saints on their jumper, on the bottom of their jumper, have all of the past Indigenous players that have ever represented St Kilda in all the levels, which is incredible. So if you buy that jumper, look at it, because you realise how amazing some of the players you've had. Like you said, you've got a Burgoyne playing for you, a famous Port Adelaide name. Burgoyne, as my laptop makes a noise, but a famous name. Just think about it and realize that, yeah, they have produced as a culture some of the most incredible footballers to ever walk the earth.
I can't believe for the first time ever in the history of Sir Doug Nicholls round, we're going to have 2 jumpers designed by 2 different Wanganeens.
Yes.
Now that's a hell of a stat. You can stick that one, right? Tweet that one out. This is the first time ever. I'm pretty sure.
I would assume so. I'm assuming there hasn't been many times.
I'd like to know what else is, But that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing everyone's out and about. It's a pretty cool one. It's for Douglas Nichols round. We talk about great rounds like Spud's games, obviously, and then obviously the big freeze and everything. But this whole round, and then we get to culminate it all next week in Dreamtime at the G.
Do it again.
I love how it's over 2 rounds, so you get like.
I literally
each
why
club,
I reckon they're doing it so you get a home and away now. I think people are doing it so that you can swap the jumpers. Which is amazing.
That's it, isn't it? It's just how much money can we drain out of these fans?
Flexing. It is designed as flexing, being like, yeah, I can do this. I can make 2 really cool looking jumpers.
Yeah, literally, it's like background remover on Canva. Let's go white. Let's go white.
Yeah, literally, that's exactly. And I know the Saints away one is a white strip. It's just the same thing, but with white on the back.
Oh my god, we're gonna have white.
It's gonna be fantastic.
We play Freo away. Oh, we're gonna have a white one. It's just gonna be white, teal dots with white. Oh my god, it's gonna be so hot.
So excited.
Fuck yeah. Anyway, should we talk about Sir Doug Nichols round and tip it?
Do some tipping. Now, unfortunately, as we were speaking about before this, we are out of the gauntlet, which is real sad. We both had locks and both lost them, so that sucks.
Does that mean we don't do our locks in our tips now? Or?
I mean, we can still do it. We were doing it before the gauntlet started. We don't have to.
Yeah, that's true. Did we ever come up with a punishment for that?
I think we just said if you tip it wrong, you just can't use them ever again. So I think we can't use Hawthorn. We can't use Sydney. I can't use Sydney. We both can't use Hawthorn.
I can't use Geelong.
And you can't use Geelong. There you go.
It's going to be very hard to keep track of, but
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
You know what? It's fine.
Yeah. It's just our locks of the week, and, I'll come up with a punishment.
We can still pick them. Doesn't matter. We'll just do it anyway.
Yeah. That's fine. But we had a pretty interesting week with the tipping. A lot of people got 8s and a lot of people got 6s and 5s and 7s and real variances.
Yeah, there was highs of 8 and lows of 3. So it's very interesting to see.
Poor people didn't put their tips in. But I look at the ranking right now, and Geordie 577 is taking the P155 at the moment. He's outright leader on 60. NATO, who's been in and around the mark. Tell you what, a few 8s from NATO has been all right. He's 59, yep. Save Huntzilla, Killer, FC, Scotty T, that is 59, and a couple of points behind a few others as well. No one got 9 this week because they're not you. See that? Right? I start pumping you up a little bit. Yeah.
That 9 has literally put me, again, like I said it last week, it put me from middle of the road into contention because we were just looking at it before. 1st to 8th, right? There's 5 people in between it. And then 8th to 30, there's 5 tips in between it. So purely for the fact that I got 9 last week is why I'm in the top 10 right now. That's the only reason I'm there.
Yeah. A couple of margin getters. Anna K got the margin correct.
What?
And Thunderstruck 616, hell of a name that. We got 0 as well, and we got a 7. That's a good round. Like if you're getting 7 and getting the margin right, you're taking that.
Yeah, absolutely you are.
Yeah, it's a pity. It's a pity St Kilda didn't win because I think I would have got the margin. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We go into round 10 this week, my friend, and let me tell you, if last week was anything to go by, the first 4 games of this round are as intriguing as ever. We start up with the Darwin Suns against the Hawks on Thursday. What a game for Thursday night. Finally!
Great Thursday night footy game.
Finally!
Great Thursday night footy game.
The Hawks have been teetering, right? They haven't been a great 7-2 side. They've just been a good 7-2 side, and they've just got the job done.
I think they're waiting for like a loss that really knocks them down a peg properly.
Nah, see, now I disagree with that because I think the Hawks are waiting. They're waiting for that big scalp, big win.
Prove.
in a nutshell, in a game against the Suns in Darwin, where they haven't lost, that could prove the tipping point for them to go, right, we are now in the bracket of Brisbane and Collingwood, and you can't stop us.
Yep. I like that too.
So they're an interesting topic, Hawthorn, because I think whilst they're teetering, I think a lot of people are starting to feel like, oh, maybe they're just not there, but they're probably timing their run.
Yeah, I think they're there.
I think they're there too. In saying that, I'm tipping the Suns.
I was going to say, I'm going to tip the Suns too. But
Suns by 10.
ooh, I'm going to go Suns by 15.
The last few weeks, we've just done, 15s and 20s, and we haven't really done anything.
I just don't feel comfortable tipping an absolute fucking belting, I never feel comfortable doing that.
But like, my point is, it's always 10, 15, 20. It's never 13 or 18.
Yeah, we're going on the even. the
We're
round.
going on the plus fives.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, well, I'm sticking with 10. We got a Friday night at the SCG, and every time this game's played, I generally think I don't watch it.
Yeah, Swans Blues is never good.
It's not the fact that it's the teams, it's just the SCG.
Yeah, I hate watching SCG games. It's just not fun.
In saying that, I think the Swans will do a number.
Yeah, I think they're going to bounce back. They have to at some point. And I think it's against Carlton. I don't think
This
Carlton
was-
are all that.
If this was at the G, I would tip Carlton. It's purely home factor for me here, because I think the Swans will feel like...
I think these teams are around the same, I think.
Yeah, they are. And we've seen last year this happened. Last year or the year before, they played the Blues at home, and it ended up being a 50-point drubbing.
Yeah.
Swans lose this, the season's done. Carlton lose this, then it's...
They're still kicking, but they need a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. Pies, Crows, ugly game of the round. Awful the fact that this is played at 12:50 at the G.
What a weird time for that, hey?
On a Saturday. Every time they play at the G on a Saturday, it turns out to be an absolute banger. Right, let me list some of these things out for you. So we've seen the Isaac Rankin running too far call. Ended up the Crows losing in a nail biter. We saw the Jordan Dawson potential high free kick that wasn't paid. Robbed at the G, and the Pies won. We saw this game a couple of years ago played in the exact same time slot, and everyone was escalated out because because there was a fire alarm as well. So that was an interesting one. We've seen a few others over the years as well. Jack Anthony kicking the winner late in the semi-final in 2009. We've seen games where they've almost been pinched either way and just never eventuated. So this in itself, we talk about fortresses and we talk about games that have been something. The Crows and Pies, I reckon, have been an underrated rivalry for such a period of time.
They don't like each other.
They really don't.
No,
and we've seen countless amounts of close games at the Adelaide Oval as well.
Yeah.
I'm tipping the Pies.
Yeah, I am too. They've given their old boys a rest, and I think, Pies are incredible. This should be game of the round, and I reckon it's going to be really close. But I think the Pies are going to come away with it.
This is the game where the Crows win this, they are legitimate contenders for me. Yep. This will be the staple point. The Pies win this, and the Crows just go back to that. They can win at home, but they can't win away.
Yeah, I like it.
Because I'm behind in my tipping, I'm just going to be safe.
Good shout.
Twilight at the Adelaide Oval. Port versus the Cats, both coming off a very close loss. Both lost by under a goal. Done it for 9 rounds. I've backed us in. This, knowing what the game comes after this one.
The last draw.
Because we play Freo away next week.
Yeah.
This is the last time. The last time I will do it. I am tipping Port.
Yeah.
Because it's at home. And I'm almost certain we're undefeated in Sir Doug Nicholls' round at the Adelaide Oval.
There you go. I just know, and I've seen it before, where Port go to GMHBA and beat the Cats, and Port at Adelaide Oval are very good, and they get a good crowd. And I need to stop tipping Port
Yeah, I
because
think
I do it. I've tipped them a lot of times this year. I didn't tip them against the Dogs, and that ended up being right. But I think I'm going to tip them again because the Adelaide Oval is just tipping me over that edge again. I don't want to just keep tipping the home teams, but it's just how it seems to be falling for me. But I'm going to tip Port.
I think about that showdown that just sparked a keen interest for Port bouncing. I
I
know
just
we
don't
talk
think Port
about
are that bad. I don't think Port are that bad.
our worst is terrible, but our best is good enough.
Mm.
It's just about finding that middle ground. I generally think
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
if we lose like we did against the Crows in the showdown, I'm going to accept that because I know we played a pretty good brand of footy.
Yeah.
And if it clicks, kick a couple extra goals,
You win.
you win.
You're actually so right in that Port's fucking range is they're way too rangy. They're either unbelievable or they're fucking dreadful. like,
Rangy.
they're too rangy. They just you're either
Not even a
pull out
word.
massive. I think so. You either pull out a massive win against Hawthorn or you fucking lose to the Saints. Like there's no in between.
Oh, it's not a word.
Rangy.
All right, I spelled it rangy and rangy is what came up.
Yeah, I got that too. That's
Interesting.
fine.
Anyway, I'm tipping Port. So if it's the last chance because if we lose this week, we're not beating Freo away. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Freo, they play the Giants at NG Stadium at also the same time for a twilight game.
4:15 games. Gross. What is that about?
Why?
I don't like that.
The Giants for me.
I'm going to be weird. I'm going to tip Freo.
You are weird.
Freo, I think, have a point to prove. And I think they're going to.
No, they don't. They're shit.
I don't think they're that bad.
Brother.
I know.
They played the Saints.
I know
yes.
We absolutely belted the piss out of them the other week, but I don't think they're that bad.
You have too good of a heart sometimes.
I just think they're okay. And I don't know if the Giants are that good. I just don't know.
Dogs, Dons.
My lock, ladies and gentlemen. The Dogs.
Marvel.
The Dogs are gonna fucking put the Dons down. That's what's happening. They're not winning this Essendon. Their run of wins that they've had is coming to an end. And this is my lock. The Dogs are gonna win.
I have that feeling again. I have a feeling again. But I'm also going
you played it safe.
The fact that this is the only game on Saturday night is baffling to me.
Yeah.
Good night to get pissed. Anyway, I'm tipping the Dogs.
Yeah.
Richmond North. 12:40 at the MCG. It's the game. Generally, this is all right. No word of a lie to back your point in, right? If Richmond win this game,
North will not beat them in wins.
No, they won't. And this is what's funny. So, I'm that in love with the young Tigers right now that they will win this game.
I'm tipping them too.
Right? I'm tipping the Tigers and they're my fucking lock.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, I generally also love the aesthetic of Richmond versus North at the G. I think that's just going to look nice.
Nice colours. Yeah, real good.
Nice colours. Even though there'll be 10,000 people there, I just think
but I'm going to say this will be similar to Richmond West Coast. Both teams' fans will show up thinking they can come away with a win here, and they're like, we might get a win. And if Richmond win this, they've won 4 games for the year, and that is fucking crazy.
That's actually very concerning because what's their percentage right now? 66. That's nothing.
Richmond a final chance? No, because they got thumped by us. But I don't know. All I'm saying, right?
If Port lose and Richmond win, they're the same wins as Port.
Yeah, that's the same with us. If we lose and Richmond win, same wins as us.
That's depressing.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is, start of the year, I got ridiculed and bamboozled for the fact that I said that North will finish on the same, if not less, wins than Richmond. And right now, I'm looking fucking good. Richmond are going to win this game.
You are looking very, very good. And also about your talking points.
Also, sorry, before we keep going, I mean, it relates to the next game as well. I also said Harvey Langford was going to be a rising star, and he's probably in the top 3 right now. I'm fucking cooking.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the glass table where Jared simply just likes to toot his own horn.
I'm doing all right. Sitting pretty good.
Start calling you Timmy Trumpet.
I got 9 tips last week. I'm still going to talk about it. I don't care.
No, you didn't. You got like 5.
The week before, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't now. You're only as good as your last round, dickhead. The Lions are beating the D's at the Gabba.
Yep, that's happening too. Absolutely.
And last game of the round. I remember a game a couple of years ago, and we recorded straight afterwards. It was piss funny because I remember just watching this game and texting you through it, and you eventually won. But God, it was stressful.
We were down 5 goals at halftime. Yeah, I know the game.
I don't think it'll happen again.
I don't think we're gonna win, right? We are gonna win. However, it's not gonna be pretty. It's not gonna be a good game of football, and I don't think we're gonna win by much. But we are gonna win.
Yeah, I think you win. Although if you lose this game,
piss funny.
Piss funny for some.
Yeah.
Half of me will be thinking, "Fuck, that's a piss funny result," but also half of me will be like, "Oh no, I'm gonna have to deal with the fallout of this." And you'll be there, obviously.
Yeah, just remember I will be there. And then funny for everyone else again, not funny for me. I land in Melbourne at 1:15 a.m. Monday morning. Do you know how sad I will be if we lose and I have to get on a plane and then land at 1:15 a.m. Monday morning? Can you imagine for a second me having to willingly get on a plane to know that I land at 1:15 a.m. Monday morning after we lose to West Coast?
It's not happening.
It's not happening. We're going to win and I'll be fine. But hilarious if it does.
I've also just realized that, right? This will be really funny too. Every single team we've tipped is a home team, right? Besides St Kilda.
I tipped Freo.
Every single team I've tipped is a home team besides St Kilda. If I'm 8 from 8 and comes out of the last round, there will be repercussions. Anyway, that'll be the first round of Sir Doug Nicholls' round, which is round 10. Looking forward to seeing what occurs. But it's going to be a fun time. Looking forward to seeing all the Guernseys and everything. And hopefully, if the round is half as good as the one we just had, then we're in for a pretty good first up round of Sir Douglas week. Apparently.
You're absolutely right. Like you said, the first 4 games of this round, I mean, yeah, first 4, I suppose. Incredible. And I'm very, very excited about it. Is it more than first 4? First 4. No, Freo Giants will be pretty good too, I reckon. First 5. I'll give it first 5.
No, it won't be because you're just holding out hope. No, you're just sitting there thinking that it's going to be good because
I don't think Freo are that bad.
I just think, no. It's not good. Rule it out. And the fact that they put it 3:45 the same time as the other game is ridiculous.
Yeah, which does spell out one game being really good and the other game being really shit. That's fair. But I hold out hope.
No.
They're going to be fine. Freo's going to be fine.
Yeah, okay. Whatever makes
it's really appealing as well. Orange versus purple. Don't know what it is. Just like it. It's nice. Anyway. Should be pretty good.
the orange tsunami and the purple haze.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know what it is. I'm a fan. Anyway. Yeah.
All right, just quickly. I know we're running over a bit. Let's just look at the colors. I think this would be really cool. This might end up being the clip because it's that funny, right? Look how cute this is, right? So you've got red versus yellow and brown on Thursday night, right? You've also then got red versus navy blue on
fantastic one.
Friday.
Love Sydney.
Love that.
Awesome colors. Yeah.
Pies, black and white versus crows. Dark and dark doesn't work.
No, the crows will wear the big red. They'll wear the red strip.
Yeah, but the fans will look a bit odd. So I don't think it'll work as well. Port versus Cats, rule it out.
Not good.
Terrible.
Not good.
Not good. Purple versus Orange, fantastic. Dogs versus Essendon, fantastic. Bit of red mixed in there, but it'd be nice. Richmond versus North is the most aesthetically pleasing looking game in terms of Guernsey and fans, everything. And to coincide with that, the blue seats at the MCG are going to mix in perfectly with the yellow and black, so even better. Brisbane versus Melbourne. We thought this was going to be good, but it didn't work out. And then West Coast versus St Kilda. Pretty good.
Yellow and blue versus red? Absolutely.
Round 10 is aesthetically pleasing.
And let's hope the games are too.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the clip, and that's us done.
Thanks, everybody. It was lovely.
No worries. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, listen, watch, and don't tip Freo.